Hi everyone, welcome to Saturday Morning Talk Toons with your hosts, Kwan and
Carlos.
where we talk all things cartoons and anime. For today's episode, we will be discussing the Netflix original animated series, Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous.
Na, 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 na.
The series follows six kids that attend a summer camp at Jurassic World. Unfortunately, the apex predator, Indominus Rex, breaks free and causes all kinds of trouble. So, what was supposed to be a summer filled with fun and games becomes a fight for survival for our six heroes. With all that said, consider this your spoiler warning because we will be talking about this series in depth and spoiling all the things. So, Carlos, what are some of your initial thoughts about the show?
Yes, overall, I want to say that it was a very good show, a very good series, and if they decided to compact all those episodes, they can easily turn that into a movie, side story for the Jurassic World, uh, and something that we'll explain a little later, but with some detective work, we figured out that this is pretty much canon with the original movie, but yeah, this could totally have been a movie.
Yeah, overall, I feel the same way. Like I in a way I feel like I wish that this was a movie because overall, like no disrespect to like the other Jurassic Worlds. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of both Claire and Owen's characters. I feel like there was kind of like gender stereotypical things about them that wasn't the most positive about both characters. But regardless of that, I feel like this like band of kids that they had was far more interesting, especially because the cast was diverse. There's someone that everybody can relate to, not just like when it comes to like racial diversity, but overall, just like their different personalities.
Yes, the cast that they chose for these characters, they did a very good job. Something that's very rare. You see it in some animated movies or even animated cartoons, but they got the voice actors to look a lot like the characters. Which is very cool. Mainly the guys, mostly, but even with the girls, like yes, you can still see that there is a resemblance. It's something that I like very much. Two of the voice actresses, two of the voice actors, they're kind of well known in their own world. Rainy Rodriguez, who plays Sammy, you would know her in Disney's Austin and Ally. You know, she goes like, "Guess who got a new job?" And then the Goldbergs, which you have Sean Jabroni, who plays Ben. But yeah, I'll let you take it away, Kulan.
Yeah. All right. So let's do it like this. Let's talk about all the characters, right? So let's start off with Darius, because Darius he is essentially like the main character of the entire series. Now, Darius, I love him so much. He's the leader of the team. But what makes him the leader isn't like because he's just like a natural born leader or he just kind of shoves his way up front. He's like, oh no, I'm the leader. No, he's just like yes, he's smart, but he's not like superhuman intelligent. He just knows a lot about dinosaurs. And because they're trapped on this island and they're trying to survive, his knowledge of not only like the dinosaurs but the Jurassic World part definitely comes in handy when keeping everybody alive essentially. And that's something that I really like because there's moments where he's unsure about the decisions he has to make, but also he's able to make those tough calls, you know? And I was just like, to kind of see that in this kid, and like, we're gonna talk about it more, but just some of the things that this kid had to do, it's like, wow, man, like, wow.
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny. Like Darius actually reminds me a lot of you in a way.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. No, because you do present those leadership qualities, and you also when your knowledge when you definitely know something, you know a lot. Especially in that field, so just like Darius knows a lot about dinosaurs. So a lot of things that you apply in life, you just there's two characters that you kind of remind me of, but Darius was definitely a big majority in there.
Yeah, and I'm curious who the second character was. All right, okay, so from Darius, let's talk about now Kenji. Now, the thing is with Kenji, because Kenji's character is Asian or East Asian, and then Darius is black. To be honest, I feel like that pretty much Kenji's personality would have been given to Darius in any type of like traditional show because Kenji was very like boisterous and not a bully, but he definitely was like a bit of a jerk, pretty much. It's kind of about. I hate to say that because he was a jerk with a heart of gold.
I want to say that they did that rich kid trope because
Yeah.
that was another thing about Kenji is that Kenji was like you definitely from the moment he comes in you could tell that he comes from money, and it's like carry my bags and. Luckily, the counselor was like, "No," but I knew from watching Kenji from episode one, and just like, and we're going to talk about a lot of cartoons and anime as we go along in the future, but I knew that there was going to be character development with Kenji, and you kind of see that foreshadowing. That's what I would say. Foreshadowing in like episode one and two, and yeah, you just know that Kenji's just going to grow as a character.
All right, so now we're gonna talk about Brooklyn, and so Brooklyn is she is a social media influencer. She calls her followers the Brooklanders, and yeah, she's the one with the pink hair. And I don't know, like I feel like the way they portrayed her character, it was pretty realistic. In terms of where we live at, there's a few like influencers that we see out and about, but not often. Not like if we were living in LA, it'd be completely different. But she didn't feel like a caricature of a social media influencer. But also, there's times that we kind of saw like the pressure and stress that she has to like film every like aspect of her life, or at least her adventures and on the camp in Jurassic World to like make sure that she's appeasing her audience. And even like despite how hard she is working and all the amazing things she's showing, that it's like, oh man, like not everybody still loves this hard work I'm doing. But yeah, I really like Brooklyn in the sense that she didn't feel like a caricature of influencers, which are pretty big in the pop culture world today.
No, yeah, I thought she was really cool in her own way, and even though I don't know this because it's not like I have a lot of social media or whatnot, but I see the pressures of like, and I hear about it. I hear about when these people have millions of followers and how they have to be constantly posting pictures and videos and everything just to appease their, she said it, randos, which I guess she means random audience. But yeah, I don't know what it's like to have that kind of pressure, but I can imagine for all these social media, so I guess famous social media personalities and the pressure it takes to keep things up like this.
All right, y'all, let's talk about Sammy.
Sammy? Oh, I'll go ahead. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
just because that I'm sorry. Like it's funny because I'm from the South and the accent was just awful. I'm sorry.
Sammy was very interesting because it's like she's definitely Latina.
Yeah.
But it was very funny in the very first episode when she was introduced. You catch right away that she's Latina. So because I believe the way she pronounced Gutierrez, and it was like, oh. But then after that, after episode two, it was kind of funny because I felt like her Latin accent kind of like faded away and it turned
Yeah.
into a Southern accent. Like, I don't know if she was supposed to represent Texas because, again, she had a ranch and everything. So I don't know exactly where in the U.S. she would be, but as we know about her. And again, Rainey Rodriguez, she did a very wonderful job as Sammy. I loved it. And what I was going to say was later in the episodes, you hear her say "mi abuela" and stuff like that. So then, she's bringing back her Latin back. So again, it's not uncommon that she can be Latina and a Midwestern Southern girl or whatnot. I mean, again, we don't know that much, but at least we can identify that she is Latina and her family has a ranch. So again, she has that cowgirl mentality.
Well, I mean, I think that I don't know. It's kind of interesting because I mean I'm not Latino or anything like that, so I don't. I feel like it kind of kept it from being her character from being, I guess, stereotypical Latino,
Hmm.
where they give her like a stereotypical accent, but it's like, but she's been living her, she's like first or second generation American, so she wouldn't have an accent. But so yeah, I was a little bit thrown off at first too, because of like her southern accent that was definitely a lot more stronger after the first episode. But wait, you. because there's something about the voice actress for Sammy that was she worked for Disney, didn't she?
Yeah, she worked on a couple of projects with Disney, but for me, the most famous that she had was Disney's Austin and Ally. She played she played their manager, and it's kind of funny because she's the manager that you probably wanted to kill, to be honest, because every time she would like set some kind of gig up or something, something would slightly go wrong. I don't remember too much because it's been a while since I've seen the series, but again, she is lovable. Like even as her character in the show, you ended up loving her, even though you kind of wanted to kill her.
No, the only one doing killing ground here is the Indominus Rex. All right. Okay. Yes.
Oh, okay. So this is the other character that reminded me of you.
Okay.
Okay, Yaz. I love Yaz. Yaz, which was short for Yasmina, by the way. Yaz was, she was definitely athletic and in aspects of that. But what was really interesting was there's a scene where Sammy goes in the gyrosphere with Yaz, and Yaz just wanted to be left alone. And when we were watching it, your first initial reaction was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah, because Sammy talks too much. I can yeah, I identify with yes. I mean, that's all. Yeah, you're right. She's me. Like I.
Yeah, well, like I said, you're a combination of Darius and Yaz.
Yeah, definitely. I'm their child from the I don't know that they had in the past and then aged a bazillion years. But okay, yeah. All right, so we have Ben. Now, I oh goodness. I don't know. You tell me how you feel about Ben.
I mean, poor Ben. Well, first
Yeah,
let
poor
me
Ben.
give some credit to Ben. Is again, I never really seen the series, but it's also another Disney show called The Goldbergs. The voice actor is Sean Giambroni. But yes. Ben, again, I guess with the stereotype that they're going with Ben is that germophobic, like has to have a bunch of sanitizers and also well prepared has the fanny pack that has all the health and it's not even regular snacks, it's healthy snacks, like instead of like chocolate bars or even protein bars or chocolate milk, it is carob bars and carob milk or carob juice.
It's funny because like I kind of want to try it just to know what it tastes like because I remember like I don't know looking at it, I was like oh it kind of looks like acai and I remember when I first had acai I was like oh wait this is actually delicious even though it kind of looks like purple mud but yeah I mean I was interested so let's talk about perhaps the most incompetent duo since Jesse and James from Pokemon Roxy and Dave these two are the counselors and yeah yeah, they need to get fired.
I feel bad for Roxy. Roxy, the just her overall. I mean, I know she tries. I think she really genuinely tries to be responsible.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dave is the bad influence. And I do love Dave's personality, but yes, I do see the incompetence. Oh,
See, what it is that because they're both incompetent, it's just that Dave is the type of person, like, you know they're incompetent off the bat. Like, you're like, okay, don't hire this guy because he's not going to do the job. You know, Roxy's the type of person, she gets the interview, she kills it, she gets hired, and she just, like, sucks at the job. And then she doesn't even acknowledge that she sucks at the job. And it's like, the difference is, too, is that, like, Dave is the type of person that he sucks at the job because he doesn't try versus Roxy sucks at the job, even though she's trying really hard. And so they're both at blame here. It's not a bad influence. They're both bad. They're both bad.
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, that's all I can really say. They just personality type. I will at least say Dave. Right off the bat, you can tell he has got that surfer dude personality, which I'm not gonna lie, I actually kind of like. I think it's because
Because it's like you.
yeah, very much. But I'm not that incompetent.
No, I didn't say that part. I just
Oh
said the
no,
surfer part.
I'm totally yeah, I'm teasing. So
All right. So when we first start off the show, right? It starts off with Darius, and he's playing the Jurassic World game, and then like he beats it, and that's when he gets his invite to the camp, and you know gets to the camp, and then he meets like the other kids, which is all great and all, and yeah, then they have their first encounter with the dinosaur, which was like the little green one, the
Yeah, the no, I can't say it. Compsognathus. There we go.
yeah the compy, yeah yeah meets the compy, and yeah, but so pretty much when they get to the end of the episode, right? They, it is Darius, Brooklyn, and Kenji. They all three of them. They sneak out. They end up in a raptor pit because they thought it was like a different dinosaur.
This is definitely our first detective work, seeing how it is canon.
Yes.
One could just say, "Oh well, no, it's Jurassic World," but we definitely see Blue and the other raptors, and yeah, I knew when I first saw it too. I was like, "Oh, is that Blue?" And then after kind of like rewatching it together, yeah, we acknowledged that, yeah, that has to be Blue.
Yeah, that's because the first time I watched it, I don't know, I didn't catch on that it was blue, and it's mainly because of the lighting. Because like blue looked a little green, like I didn't notice the blue stripe, and then I was like, then as we were like rewatching it, and then I was like, oh wait, that is blue, and that is like blue's like sisters, and it's like, oh wait, this is probably canon with Jurassic World now because I was trying to figure it out in the beginning, but like from seeing that fact, that's when we knew at that point, okay, what was up. So at that point, yeah, Kenji, went to the raptor pit. Kenji's the one who fell in, or no, he jumped down because he knocked Brooklyn's phone down and down there, and he went to go get it, and then unaware that there was raptors in this pit, they thought it was a different type of dinosaur. And once again, due to like the smart thinking of Darius, he manages to like pretty much save Kenji. And then they everybody rounds up the kids and bring them back, and then they punish them. But it's also like, I'm sorry, I've been to camp before. There's supposed to be somebody,
Watching
some type
them.
of chaperone watching these kids. How did they manage to sneak out at night and make it to the raptor pit in the first place? Like it just shows just the level of just like I don't even know, like what unprofessionalism and competencies that happens. See, this is why the dinosaurs get free and they just eat up people because it's just the island just they just keep hiring the worst people for the job. I mean, yeah, just the worst. So they even highlight that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh well, didn't you once tell me that like, well, that's the ongoing joke with Jurassic?
Yeah, I mean, I think they acknowledge that too, because like another thing they acknowledge is the fact that like the technology kept being faulty, and I mean we'll just talk about it later as like when we hit those beasts, but yeah, so like we're going on. So the next part, right? As their punishment, they have to go scoop dino poop. But even when they do that, so Darius and
Kenji.
yeah, Darius and Kenji, they have to do this. By which Kenji okay, so Darius takes the blame for like the whole thing, saying that he convinced like everybody to go out to the raptor pit because Kenji played the whole like, oh my dad never loved me, he's gonna be disappointed and blah. Okay, he does that, and then come to find out he was just like, psych, I just wanted you to take the blame. It's like, come on, Kenji. Come on, because Darius, like Kenji's like the oldest of the bunch, right? I'm guessing he's probably like 14 or something. He's like the oldest, and he pulled that. And it's like Darius like took the fall for him. It's like, oh man, Darius, you don't deserve that. But yeah, they had to go scoop dinosaur poop the next day. And once again, okay, so the rest of the kids with the counselors, they go to like the gene lab, and because the counselors they want to see like baby dinosaurs hatch out of their eggs and everything. But guess what? No one is watching Darius
No one's
and
wa-
Kenji.
Yeah, no one's watching the punished kids to make sure that they complete their punishment.
The thing is, okay, fine. I guess I kind of get it because at this point the dinosaurs aren't free, but it's like these kids are out here by themselves. They could still get attacked by a bunch of accomplices, just like in Jurassic Park 2, The Lost World, and they left these two kids by themselves. So of course, Darius and Kenji are like, oh, screw this poop pile, literally. We're just gonna go do, let's go exploring. And so they go exploring, Rugrat style. And then, they run into the freaking Carnotaurus. Yeah, the Carnotaurus. And which was called Toro. Toro was this character's name. And yeah, they almost get eaten. They run from them. In the process, the Toro like gets a cut on his face, and so like he gets like a scar to distinguish him from the other Carnotauruses out there. But meanwhile, we're back at the lab, and like the kids are watching like dinosaurs hatch, and then Ben,
And that's
right?
why. Well, not only the hatching of Bumpy, but before we get to Bumpy, the introduction of Doctor Wu.
Oh yeah, that's right. Dr. Wu makes an appearance in this, which that also I guess that was like another highlight that hey, this is canon with Jurassic World, the Jurassic World movie because he is a legit live action character in the movie. So that was pretty cool.
hmm and then one of the eggs actually gets hatched prematurely, where Doctor Wu is actually concerned because he's like that shouldn't have happened. And then apparently Bumpy is
A
a
Kylosaur
thank you a Kylosaur, and
or Ankylosaur. One of those.
anyway, don't shoot us for not pronouncing these correctly, please.
Dinosaur names are hard.
The Bumpy is asymmetrical. Oh, and that was the other thing that the first person that Bumpy saw was Ben, and just like any when a duckling or a chick hatches from their egg, the first thing they see, they what's the word,
Imprint.
imprint as their mother. So anyway, we're going to talk about Bumpy and Ben later on, but yeah, but yes, he is very cute. And that's when also when Brooklyn
Yeah.
also sneaks. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like Brooklyn sneaks off like deeper into the lab, right? Which once again, how does she even manage to do that? Because like in order to get past these, through the sliding doors, probably in most places of high security, you need to have a badge or a code or something. And I guess there's no cameras in this place at all to catch her doing this. So she sneaks, further back, and then she ends up bumping into Sammy because Sammy, she was back there, I guess, supposedly looking for the bathroom. She wasn't obviously not sneaking around. And yeah, so Brooklyn is back there filming stuff, being nosy, and then okay, so she was typing some things on the computer because she was trying to like break into it and get some I don't know secret
Classified info, so
Yeah.
she can put it on social media.
So I have a bit of a theory. It's probably not right, but I'm curious if it's like did she accidentally set loose the Indominus Rex or played a role in Indominus Rex getting free from her like.
I don't think so, and I'll tell you why.
Let me dream. That's what she did. She's the blame. Go ahead.
No, because all she really did was click on the file. I don't think that clicking on the file will cause that. Because remember, if this really is canon with Jurassic World, at this point in time, maybe that's when Owen was with what's the girl's name?
Claire.
Claire. That when Owen was with Claire, because they were trying to figure out the Indominus Rex, and that's when in the movie, going back to the regular movie, where Indominus was kind of hiding himself because he was trying to figure out the right timing to free himself.
Yeah, right about
So
that.
yeah, so the Indominus freed himself. So yeah, unfortunately, yeah, no blame to the kids. It was just coincidental timing.
There was this one thing though where what's his name, Professor Wu, like he had made a comment saying that wait, like those are the Siberian mammoth remains. So I'm now curious, does that highlight that perhaps in the third Jurassic World movie, which was supposed to release earlier, but due to the coronies, it got pushed back like all the other films. I wonder if that's like foreshadowing that we're going to get prehistoric animals like a saber-toothed tiger, mastodon,
Yeah.
in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of like throw that out there. I'm just kind of curious. But yeah, so the episode end up ending, with the shadowy figure sending off some file via a drone. So yeah.
We have a theory. We're pretty sure that could have been Sammy.
Yeah.
We're going to talk a little bit more later why we think that. But yeah, so.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Sammy.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of because looking at the silhouette, kind of like it could have been like a male character. It didn't look like Sammy's silhouette, but I think it was Sammy. All right, so next day, the kids are out and about in the gyrospheres, and
they're helping. Yeah, they're helping the dinosaurs graze.
Yeah, and at this point, like we see a Stegosaurus, we see the Sinoceratops. What else? We see a couple of dinosaurs.
Yeah, there's just a lot of there's the what did you say, a herd of herbivores at least.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a perfect description.
All right, excellent.
And then okay, so at this point, like the kids they're all getting paired off, but they're getting paired off with like people that they don't necessarily like. So poor Yaz has to deal with Sammy. Sammy who keeps talking and like has to be everybody's friend and stuff. So she gets paired off with her. Ben gets paired off with Kenji. Kenji is just miserable, and then Darius gets paired off with Brooklyn. And like the thing
And
is, that wasn't a bad match. Just that Brooklyn was like decided to be a jerk to him.
yeah, honestly, like I even thought like even if there was gonna be some kind of like romantic interest, I thought it would be
Yeah.
them. But yeah, it goes back to earlier what I said about the pressure of social media, and because she's now seeing that she's losing subscribers.
Mhm.
The randos are now commenting of like, oh, you made Jurassic World boring. So
Yeah, and so that was getting to her, so that's why she was kind of taking it out on Darius. But overall, like they try to make the most of the situation, and then that's when like a storm rolls in, right? And
yeah, the storm ends up scaring the herd. But
well, wait. First, we have to acknowledge the fact that our camp counselors are most, our responsible counselors, right? Like, so the storm rolls in, and instead they tell the kids to like go back to camp because let's trust a bunch of teenagers, a bunch of tweens and teens, right, to like follow the rules.
to listen to adults.
Yeah, not to mention there's a bunch of dinosaurs around. They can hit their gyrosphere. They go flying off somewhere. I don't know. Like so, instead of them leading the kids back to camp where they chaperone them, like proper adults that who are hired to do this job, they tell the kids to go back to themselves and they're gonna deal with other things. Okay, so while the kids are sitting there waiting, the storm rolls in. The dinosaurs get spooked. Sinoceratops takes off running off. So they're like, oh let's go round it up, So they go after it. And then, long story short, Darius and Brooklyn end up in a. It wasn't a tar pit. It was
Yeah,
like a mud
thank
pit, like
goodness, because if it was a tar pit, they would have been dead. There
yeah,
was no surviving that. Luckily, it was some kind of like sand, quicksand pit, I would
yeah,
say.
quick mud.
Yeah, quick mud.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they get stuck, and luckily the others, the other two in the gyrospheres, they at least come to aid and rescue. But at the same time, they're also stuck because they can't figure out how to get them out.
Yeah, this is definitely the team. Like, this is definitely the episode where like the team comes together and everybody works together. Also with the help of the Sinoceratops. I mean, no,
Yeah, no,
that's
you're
called
right. You're
Sinoceratops
right.
to like help get both Darius and Brooklyn out of the mud
Yeah,
pit.
this is where thanks to Sammy, and again, this is Sammy's desire to want to be everyone's friend. So the with the Sinoceratops, he's very scared, and at the same time, like Sammy's like, look, if you trust me, I can trust you. And so they, sure enough, the Sinoceratops, Sammy gains the trust of the Sinoceratops. They're able, and with luckily with the force of with the dinosaur, they're able to get Brooklyn and Darius out of the quick mud pit.
Yeah, but at the end of the episode,
Mhm.
well, the biggest shocker is, Jazz and Sammy are now BFFs for life. So there's that.
Oh, that's
And
another thing about you and Yaz, because
mhm.
you and Yaz are artists.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's the thing. Yeah, Yaz is an artist, and she shares her artwork with Sammy. So yeah, and then yeah, but when Brooklyn, she's looking at her phone and look at the videos and stuff that she captured, and she notices in the background that Sammy is up to things with the Sinoceratops.
Yeah, she pretty much takes like a saliva sample out of the Sinoceratops when no one was looking, but Brooklyn's phone caught it. So this is where it confirms earlier in the silhouette where she gave a flash drive to a drone and the drone flew off.
Yeah, and so the next day, Brooklyn wakes up and she is not happy because she cannot find her phone. And she's like, who has my phone? Who's been touching it? And then everybody's like, oh yeah, like I used it at one time to like, send a text message. Oh yeah, I used it to call my mom and blah, 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 which is pretty funny that everybody at some point had used her phone because she's the only like, member of the team that has her, like is allowed to keep her phone on her all the time since she is an influencer.
Um, Yeah, and also in that very episode, this is where it's also a touching episode because we see Darius remembering his past with the relationship he had with his father, the matching raptor teeth necklace.
Actually, I think that may be a little bit later. Yeah, I think that was like in the next episode actually.
Okay.
Because yeah, in this one, this is where Sammy's like,
No, it was right. It was right before it. Yes.
oh, I know what you're talking about now.
Yes.
Yes, because there's two dream sequences. You're right about that. All right,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
bad.
no problem. But yeah, it's definitely very touching. It explains why Darius actually is here in the first place and why this means so much to him. Because it wasn't just supposed to be Darius; it was actually supposed to be Darius and his father.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, this is where we find out that Darius's dad, does pass away due to illness, and he has a matching raptor teeth necklace. In anyway, but in this episode, going back to the phone jacking, luckily this is where you also see Yaz and Sammy really become friends because even though we know that Sammy did take the phone, Yaz because she didn't really know. Yaz protected Sammy, and so
yeah.
you can already tell that their friendship has bonded, and in Sammy's defense, it is really a genuine friendship.
So the thing is, once again, our responsible
Camp counselors.
leaders, camp counselors, Roxy and Dave, something happens, and they leave the kids in the camp in the treehouse cabin thing they stay at by themselves, and just leave them a note saying, "Hey, something happened. Stay inside and color." Yeah,
Another canon comment, you caught this one,
yeah.
was because the for Roxy, she's like, I can't handle this. I need more staff. But as she's leaving a message, she talks about yes, we know about the nephews,
Mhm.
but we advise we just need more staff. But again, the nephews. This is where it goes again to the Jurassic World movie.
Yeah, she mentions Claire and she talks about her nephews, and so it was like, okay, like that's the thing. Claire's nephews were supposed to be at the camp with them, but they couldn't because Roxy and Dave they already had their hands like filled with taking care of the six kids. They couldn't bring on any more kids, and so they were like, "Sorry, Claire, like we can't take your nephews at all." But yeah, so they of course, like I said, they're very responsible. So they leave our six characters, our six teenagers by themselves, and the teenagers are like, you know what? We're bored. Let's go out and let's go do something, right? Instead of sitting inside and coloring all day.
This is where they head to the zip line.
Yeah, they went out to like the zipline area, and then that's when we first see the Indominus Rex.
Dun dun dun.
And yeah, the Indominus Rex isn't playing any games. Is killing up all the things.
No, it really isn't. This is where our first human and
Yes.
first two humans, to be honest, get
They
eaten.
got 8.
Yeah, and this is where we were like, oh my gosh, this is dark. This is not going to be a fuzzy cartoon series. Like, no, the people are going to get eaten. These kids can get eaten, and so this is where really this is where the suspense starts to build in this series.
Yeah, so the kids like even though they're up in this high tower. Indominus Rex is still coming after them anyway. Like it's after everybody. So they get on the zip line and they just like they're traveling across and then the Indominus like breaks the what do they call it
The zip line,
breaks
it gets
down.
it gets the kids are going in, but the emergency brakes hit in the middle, and then they're stuck in the middle of it. Luckily, Darius is the hero, and between Darius and Yaz, it's like, and they push off, and then they're able to at least get across. But unfortunately, Indominus Rex does break it down. Thankfully, the
And
kids.
then they fall. Yeah, they do fall. They fall far and. Frankly, they should have died, but they survived because I guess they landed through the trees. And that's what broke their fall eventually. But in the process, Sammy, because she had the phone on her, she lands on the phone and she breaks it. And it's like, oh crap! So we're out in the middle of the woods, and the phone's now broken. And also, I can't give the phone back to Brooklyn right now because it's broken. And also, she's gonna know that I stole it. And yikes! But also,
Well, as they're going along and they're trying to gather together and trying to find safety or help, we come across Bumpy.
well, Bumpy a little bit later. Because
Okay.
what we come across first is that the camp that they were all supposed to stay at actually was destroyed. So it's
that's
actually
right.
pretty smart for them not to have stayed behind because they would have got ate.
Yep.
So this way, they're all still alive. And that's when they end up having a plan to go south. Darius is like, hey, I know this park. So let's go south. That's where safety is going to be. So that's where they head. Now, when we go to the next episode, our kids, they're out, they're venturing around. And this is where Bumpy does appear in this episode.
Oh, you know what? Before Bumpy, something also very important. Again, this is our detective work regarding, again, canon.
Mhm.
We see one of the gyrospheres busted, and then the dead Ascalite, Ankylosaur. We see the dead Ankylosaur, and again, if you go back to the Jurassic World movie, that's gyrosphere that's broken. Those were the two nephews. They got out of that, and that's where because the Ankylosaur there was also there, and so that is the scene where the busted gyrosphere, the dead Ankylosaur. Again, it's just kind of confirming even more that this is canon with Jurassic World.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get Bumpy.
Yes.
As you can tell, we love Bumpy over here. We're Team Bumpy.
And Bumpy again, and Kenji's like, oh well, how do you know it's her? And well, immediately Bumpy goes to Ben because again, Bumpy imprinted Ben,
Mhm.
And then even Ben says, oh no, it's because you remember Dr. Wu said she's asymmetrical, and so luckily, Bumpy's definitely that adorable character, and in the series, you always have that one cute character in there.
Yes, and so the kids they end up taking like a van, and they get into the genetics lab. And then when they get there, that's when we meet another very incompetent and very mean jerk adult known as Eddie. And so pretty much they show up, and it's also Eddie's birthday, by the way. So it's Eddie's birthday. They show up to the genetics lab. Oh well, Eddie does give them a slice of cake. There was that at least, but Eddie just is not trying to make the kids feel better at all, and he ends up finding out that wait, you have a vehicle, you have a van, and he goes and tries to steal it.
Wait, before that, there was one part where this broke your heart.
No, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to. See, here's the thing. Kenji, Kenji, he has a slice of cake, and he proceeds to drop that cake. Now, the thing is, I love cake. Cake is the most important thing in the world to me. And whenever I see any type of show disrespect the sanctity of cake, I just feel some type of way in my spirit. And I was just trying to forget that. And you just made me remember it. And you're lucky I have my therapist appointment on Monday because I can't live with this. Like, I can't deal with this. It's just a lot. So anyway, we will not be disrespecting cake around these parts, all right? So yes.
But yes, going back to Eddie, yes, unfortunately Eddie goes off to the van, and that's when Kenji's like, I left the keys in the van. So the kids are obviously running after Eddie, but Eddie.
Well, it's also mainly Jazz because the one thing I want to also bring up, we said it before, Jazz is the athlete. She's a runner. Actually, and so she's chasing after the van because she's the fastest of the group.
Mm-hmm. And well, anyway, Karma was instant in this aspect because as he's driving off, sure enough, the Indominus Rex comes back again. Thrashes the vehicle. It bumps, and so Eddie's trying to get away. Hence, trying to get away, and unfortunately, our third human gets eaten on this series.
But I mean, it's okay though. I mean, I feel a little bad because it was literally Eddie's birthday.
Yeah.
But it's also like, Eddie, you were a jerk. Like, right. I mean,
he could have worked together with the kids to say, okay, let's work together so we all get to safety.
You know what? I just now realized this. Eddie was, remember in Jurassic Park, the guy who left the kids and like who ran into the bathroom and then the T-Rex knocked the roof off and ate him. That's who Eddie was in this one. I think that was a reference to that.
Maybe. That's true. I forgot all about that one.
That was it. Mm-hmm. All right. So now our kids, they end up getting back into the van. Now, before this episode ended, Eddie got ate, but the kids, they get the van back. They're driving. Yaz is driving, and then that's when they're all like, yeah, we made it, we survived. And then they hit a bump, and
that's when the phone drops out of the pocket, and they discover...
Out of Sammy's pocket.
Yeah, and that's when Brooklyn was like, I knew it!
Yeah, and then, like, they're just in shock Yaz was like, "Oh my goodness, you're my friend, and I stood up for you, and you did this," and then she wrecks the car.
Exactly, because she's not paying attention to the road anymore. She
Yeah.
just keeps busy looking back. So, but then it transitions into the next episode.
Yeah, now this episode 6 was the most. There was a lot in this episode. I was
Mhm.
surprised they fit it all. I think in like what 22 minutes because
Mhm.
there was a lot. Yeah. So starting off right now, the kids they don't even have the protection of the van anymore. They're out and about, and once again, the Indominus Rex is out here eating up people, and then the Indominus Rex shows up and is running. You're like, oh no, like it's gonna come eat us, and then.
Wait, wait. Before we even get to
Mhm.
that part, let's explain after this discovery of the phone and everything, and how Sammy explains about Manticore.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, you're right about that. See, I got too excited. I want to get to the good
But
scene.
he is right that this episode 6 and so on, it gets very suspenseful. Go.
Yeah, so that's when Sammy's like, "Please don't be mad at me. I know I stole the phone and broke it, but I'm a spy for Manticore." And Manticore is like the competing genetics lab that want to create dinosaurs and stuff too. And so pretty much they, I don't know, was it blackmail? Like, yeah, they kind of like blackmail Sammy a little bit.
Sort of. Basically, her family's ranch was in trouble, and Manticore made a proposition and said, "Look, if you work with us, if you spy for us, we'll get we'll have your ranch up and running again with no problem. We just need you as a spy." Um,
Yeah, and so the thing is that Sammy, like on her own free will, she decided to go to Jurassic World in order to
yeah.
try to track down some dino DNA.
And I get it because she cares and loves her
Yeah.
family. So honestly, so luckily, it's not that the parents were agreed to this. They didn't even know until the very end. So and again, it just shows Sammy's compassion for her family and her friends as you get to know Sammy more.
Yeah. So now this is the part where the Indominus Rex comes like tearing through the forest and it's like roar and stuff, but then you realize it's actually running away. And that's because a helicopter comes through and it is shooting at the Indominus Rex. Now, go ahead.
Again, another canon moment. So in the original movie, and we even went back just to compare the
Scene by scene.
Yeah, pretty much. We compared the cartoon version to the movie version, and it was exact. You have the helicopter, you have the shooting, you have the Indominus crashing into the aviary. I'll let you take it from there with the aviary.
Yeah, because like when they crashed, that's when all of the pterodons break.
Pteranodons.
Yeah, sorry. All of the pterodactyls break free. Not pterodon.
Both pterodactyl,
Yeah.
pteranodons.
All them flying dinosaurs. They all pterodons. They break free. They cause some havoc, just like in the movie, pretty much. And then
the helicopter just crashes and explodes. And again, scene by scene, just like the movie. So again, it really does confirm that that this movie is that this series is actually a side story to the Jurassic World movie. And again, if Universal ever wanted to go back and be like, okay, you know what, let's make this live action. Oh, I think they could totally make it happen.
Well, speaking of Universal, because our 6 heroes, they find themselves on a little kayak ride.
Oh, yeah.
And then, what was it called?
A river adventure, just like in Islands of Adventure.
Yep, exactly. And so they get on their kayaks, which actually was referenced, I think, back in episode 2. They mentioned kayaking. And so they got to go on their kayak ride. And I thought this was like the coolest scene in the entire series. I mean, I'm going to make some fan art of it because I really thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, just for you listeners, it's like, especially for people who traveled, and if they travel to Puerto Rico, there's a place called Bioluminescent Bay, because that's where the kayaking enters. It enters a bioluminescent cavern, and it's just beautiful. And which dinosaurs were it again?
I think they were called, I'm going to butcher this, Parasaurolophus.
Okay.
And they're like the
See,
the interesting thing is about these dinosaurs, right? They're like the duckies, right? If you're familiar with The Land Before Time, this is Ducky. It's that dinosaur. It's kind of duck-like, has a crest on the back of his head. So when we're growing up, because they keep like revamping like how these dinosaurs may have looked, because frankly we don't know like 100% how they look. We're guessing here. The thing is, they always associated with water and kind of being like aquatic. Like when we was growing up, that was the thing. But lately, it's kind of been more so like, oh no, it actually walks on four legs, not two, and it wasn't really that aquatic. In this case, these dinosaurs they were aquatic. They swam in water, and they also were
Bioluminescent.
yeah, bioluminescent. And I'm not mad at it because it was really cool to see them. Like it was a really cool scene.
Yeah, it's definitely a change of pace of the
Yeah.
because these were like more docile dinosaurs as opposed to some of the because even some of the
Well, they got a little mean at a
yeah.
certain part of the kayak, right?
Ironically, that was because of Bumpy.
Yeah.
Ironically, so
Yeah, I would love for this to actually be a change to the Jurassic Park or an addition to like the Jurassic Park ride or something at Universal. I would like to
yeah, that would be
see it in
actually
there.
cool. Now I'm butchering it.
Yeah.
Bioluminescent ride. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
Universal, do it. All right, so they end up getting out from kayaking, and then that's when they find themselves in this giant pool,
Oh
and
yeah, the
then
current takes them into
into like the pool
the
with
lagoon.
the lagoon for
Mosasaurus?
the Mosasaurus.
All right, Mosasaurus.
Yeah, the Mosasaurus was that giant crocodile with the flippers looking dinosaur.
Like, yeah, 10 times on steroids.
Yeah, and so surprisingly, the kids like they're paddling, they have to get away from it because they're gonna get ate.
Yeah, because they even make it, because again, it has a very shark-like feature, it's circling them, just like a shark would circle its prey before it eats them.
Yeah, but due to some quick thinking from Yaz, the kids end up making it out safe. Well, most of them do, except for Yaz, because now it's like, oh crap.
Yeah, she even admits, I did not think this through.
Yeah, but they end up finding a way to help her, get back to safety. But unfortunately, in the process, she injures her ankle.
Oh yeah, like oh man, I felt for her because yeah, the ankle just gets so swollen, and the fact that if anyone's ever had a swollen ankle or even a sprained ankle for that matter, like you're running from dinosaurs, you're trying to escape. So yeah, you can only imagine how hard you can't even put any pressure on that ankle anymore.
Mhm.
So
Well, actually, though, there was one key moment in this episode too, and that was when okay, so all the kids, they're in a kayak, and this is the part where everybody essentially, well, mostly Brooklyn and Yaz are mad at Sammy. So Kenji,
this is a great character growth on Kenji's part.
yeah, Kenji pretty much tells Brooklyn, "Hey, here's the thing. She did what she did because she's trying to help her family, and she feels awful. Don't be like, what's the point of being mean to her?
Yeah,
Like,
do you think that there's anything you can say that already makes her feel worse than she does now?
Yep, and this is when Kenji stopped being a jerk and is like, I like Kenji. To be honest, I like all the characters.
Yeah, no, even Ben, it's
except for Roxy and Dave. Well, I like Roxy and Dave, but
no, yeah,
they're like I said, they're Team Rocket of the show.
But yeah, no, because he actually, yeah, even Ben, at first when looking at Ben, I didn't think as like, oh, okay, germaphobe. It's like it's a little too much. It's too extreme. But you know what? It's thanks to Ben, and especially the him growing as well, especially with Bumpy, because you can already tell that he didn't even want to be there in the first place. But I think Bumpy, again, this is why we team Bumpy, helped Ben grow. And again, all the characters have grown a lot.
Yeah, and so at this point, Toros makes an appearance again. And Toros end up chasing the kids until they get on a monorail.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, a lot happens because it seems like there's a moment of peace, right? And the kids like they're bonding, they're drinking that carob juice, and they're like to friendship, to surviving. We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna make it, to the docks.
And also going back to Ben really quick about how he didn't want to even be here, because also we find out why everyone is there.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Kenji was sent by his dad anyway because his dad is too busy for Kenji anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We already established that Darius did it. He wanted to be there for his dad, and plus he beat that game. But going to Ben, they even asked him, Ben, why are you here? And it was his mom. His mom actually sent him because his mom thought it would be good for him to grow. So, and ironically, she was right, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so what ends up happening is that the
Pteranodons,
the pteranodons, they end up attacking the monorail. and the kids like to come out of the plan. They're attracted to it because of the lights, and so they turn off the lights in it.
Yeah, well,
And
actually, they break the lights.
yeah, they had to break the lights because just
there was no way of turning it off. They just had to smash it down.
yeah. And then yeah, I mean there's a lot going on with the monorail. They almost like wreck at one point with another crash monorail, and then at one point, long story short, Ben is on the outside of the monorail holding on for dear life, and Darius runs and like he's holding him.
Oh wait, actually, before we get there,
Okay.
this is also very interesting. Yeah, because right when we think, and this is so funny because we thought that this was actually the very last episode. We didn't even know that we had one more episode left. Where wait, did the Pteranodon get Ben after he fell off, or were?
No, he just fell. Like I mean, it hit him, but like he fell because Darius was in the process of pulling him up,
right?
And then a pterodon had like flew and knocked him some more, and then he slipped again, and then Darius was holding on to the
right. And this was so funny because when that happened, we thought it was the end, and because it ends right there, and so we were like, oh my gosh, like oh what a great way to have a cliffhanger for a next season, and they're like, oh my gosh, we can't believe it, but then we find out we have one more episode left, but. Go ahead.
And so, if all of that happens, Darius at this point is holding on between two episodes. And unfortunately, Ben slips and he falls and plummets down back to the ground. And thing is, them kids, they could have helped. Darius was holding that kid by himself. And it's like, no, y'all could have helped. But y'all didn't want to help because y'all didn't care about Ben. And the only thing you cared about was drinking up his carrot juice in them bars. And y'all was like, we good. Oh, you hanging on? Oh, yeah, we're gonna help you, Darius. Yeah, he's still hanging on. Oh, he fell. Oh, yeah, he fell. Yeah. It's just like, come on, guys. Like, come on. Like, you could have jumped in earlier. You could have helped, and you would have all saved Ben. But no, you didn't. And now he's gone, and Darius is even more traumatized. And yeah. So with that said, the monorail is gonna now crash. And they have to like jump off.
Well, actually, it's not only because they already saved it from crashing. What happened was that they realized a U-turn.
Yeah, U-turn.
Yeah, so they realized that it's U-turning back to the entrance because in order to prevent from going to the crash monorail, that's what happened. Ben hit the switch so that it would go to the other track. But that's when Darius found out, oh no, this is turning us back. So then they had to make that decision to jump off.
And then, so they jump off, and then they're like, we have to make it to the docks. I think they had like 50 minutes to get there. And so they're on the way there, and they decide to take the tunnels, which tunnels were introduced back in episode 2, when Kenji and Darius was off on adventures from, like, instead of scooping poop like they're supposed to. So they go through the tunnels, and then that's when Toros decides to follow them. However, they had like a plan they had set up to pretty much fight the Toro, and I guess set them on fire, blow them up.
No, you're right. I mean, pretty much. This is also a very suspenseful scene because you got these kids up against the dinosaur, and it was very intense. Everybody was, and again, poor Yaz, like she's using one of the electroshock staffs to use as a walking stick because she just can't. But luckily, I mean, between the teamwork of the kids, go ahead, like they were.
Yeah, well, so nothing coming on. Like, meanwhile, while all this stuff was going down, Roxy and Dave, they were tracking the kids at one point, but then they end up like losing track of them, and then so now Roxy and Dave, they're at the docks, and they're waiting at the docks. Everybody who's on the island is supposed to be on the docks so they can board the ferry and leave the island. Yeah, and so they're sitting there waiting on the kids to show up. And they're not going to show up because so many other things is going on right now. And then, long story short, Roxy and Dave, they end up, they're on this ferry, and they're trying to demand that they turn it around. But it's like, no, you're on the ship. I mean, if you really cared about these kids, you would have stayed behind. You didn't do it. But y'all on the ship. You escaped the island, and you left these poor kids by themselves.
All I can say is that, one more thing about the Toro. When it was leaving, it was kind of funny because after they charred this thing, they were successful in charring him badly, to a point where if he could talk, when he was leaving, he was like, "You'll see, this was not the last time you'll see of me." Pretty much is what he said, if he could say it. But on a good note, they did get an exit, and that explosion did cause an exit, so that's when they were able to move forward, even though they did miss the docks. Uh, and this is where it transitions into that last scene.
Yeah, so this is where we, transition to a new scene where we have Bumpy, and he runs over, and then you see his Ben's body, and then you see his fingers
Move.
twitch.
Yep, exactly. So Ben is thankfully alive, and yes, I really do hope that they have a season two. And they definitely should, so that this way we know what happens and it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. What are you expecting from season two?
See, that's a difficult one because consider this is now canon with Jurassic World. It's like, oh man, like what did it get? What I'm gonna get out of season two? So here's a couple things I would like to see, and if they can make it work with Jurassic World canon, awesome. Okay, first of all, yes, Ben's alive. We know that much. Here's the thing I want to see from Ben. I want in season two Ben to be like a jungle kid, right? He is riding on Bumpy's back because Bumpy's gonna be like full grown because they have like
Yeah, he's the accelerated
yeah,
growth.
accelerated growth of the dinosaurs. So he's gonna be like Jungle Ben. He's gonna have like messy hair, and maybe even he's gonna because he fell to the ground. He has a memory loss, so he doesn't fully remember who he is. But throughout the next season, as he like comes across hand sanitizer or eat like carob like bar or drink carob juice, he begins to slowly remember who he used to be. And then in the end, he kind of becomes a combination of this new brave like Tarzan Ben, King of the Dinosaurs Ben, as well as like the Ben that he's always been. Yeah, pun intended. But yeah, and yeah, so the kids are alive and they're trying to just survive on the island. And also, I would like to see agents from the
Manticore.
yeah, from Manticore kind of show up and they're trying to steal dinosaurs off the island. Like the kids have to fight them, in order to protect the dinosaurs, but at the same time stay alive on the island themselves.
Yeah, no. All I can say is from season two. Honestly, I don't even know what to expect. All those
Hmm.
ideas are great. And all I can say is that I really do hope that this is so successful that they create not only season two but more seasons to come.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see like where they go because if they have a third season, I feel like that definitely needs to be based off of Jurassic World 2, following I forgot what it's called, but like the scary black raptor with the gold scales and stuff. Like
Oh
the
yeah,
Mohawk.
I forgot his name, but yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, something like that.
Mhm.
All right, so that was the whole show in a nutshell. Carlos, do you have anything else you want to tell our listeners before we tune off?
No, just tune in. But yeah, we enjoyed talking. We not only enjoyed talking about the show, but we also enjoyed talking about more shows to come, like Carmen San Diego, and other Netflix series like Kipo.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, so everyone, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Also, if you have like any type of like critiques or feedback you want for us, like make sure to leave that down in the comments below.
Yeah, we're not afraid of constructive criticism, so.
Yeah, we're not Brooklyn. All right, so thank you everyone for listening, and we're out. Tune out.